Have you ever looked at someone and thought, how on earth do they have that much energy? Well, today, I want to introduce you to someone who'll make you rethink what's possible at any age. Meet Margaret, a 90-year-old marathon runner who just completed her 15th race last month. Yes, you heard that right. 90 years young, and she's still crossing finish lines with a smile. Now, you might be wondering, what's her secret? Is it some miracle pill? A fancy diet? Well, I sat down with Margaret to find out, and what she shared wasn't just surprising, it was downright inspiring. And the best part? Her secrets aren't secrets at all. They're simple, everyday choices that any one of us can start making today. So let's dive into the first few lessons we can learn from Margaret's incredible journey. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll see that age really is just a number. First up, movement. Margaret didn't start running marathons in her 20s or even her 50s. She laced up her first pair of proper running shoes at 68 after her doctor told her she needed to strengthen her bones. At the time, she could barely walk around the block without getting winded. But instead of resigning herself to a slower pace, she started small. Just 10 minutes of walking a day, then 15, then 20. Within a year, she was jogging. By 75, she ran her first 5K. And now? Well, she's a local legend. But here's the thing. Margaret doesn't run because she's chasing records. She runs because it makes her feel alive. And that's the real lesson here. You don't have to run marathons to reap the benefits of movement. It could be dancing, swimming, gardening, or even just stretching every morning. The key is to find something you enjoy, because if you love it, you'll stick with it. Take the story of Henry, a 78-year-old retired teacher who'd spent years glued to his recliner, convinced his arthritis meant his active days were over. Then one day, his granddaughter dragged him to a Tai Chi class in the park. At first, he grumbled, "This isn't real exercise." But within weeks, he noticed his joints felt looser, his balance improved, and his mood lifted. Now he teaches that same class every Saturday. "Turns out," he told me, "I wasn't too old to move. I just needed to move differently." That brings me to the second big lesson from Margaret: mindset. When I asked her how she stays motivated, she laughed and said, "I stopped counting the years and started counting the miles." She doesn't see herself as old. She sees herself as someone who's still capable of setting goals and crushing them, and science backs this up. Studies show that people with a positive outlook on aging live longer, healthier lives. So, the next time you catch yourself thinking, "I'm too old for that," pause and ask, says who? Now, let's talk about something Margaret swears by: community. She didn't do this alone. Her running club, a mix of 30-somethings and fellow seniors, cheers her on every step of the way. And that support system? It's gold. Whether it's a fitness class, a book club, or a weekly coffee group, staying connected keeps us mentally sharp and emotionally resilient. So, to recap, move in ways that bring you joy, ditch the "I'm too old" mindset, and surround yourself with people who lift you up. But we're just scratching the surface. Next, we'll explore Margaret's daily routines, from what she eats to how she sleeps, and how small tweaks can add years to your life. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Now that we've seen how Margaret approaches movement and mindset, let's get into the day-to-day habits that fuel her incredible vitality. Because here's what I've learned. It's not about any one big dramatic change, but rather dozens of small choices that add up over time, just like compound interest for your health. Let's start with something we all do every day: eating. Margaret's approach to food is refreshingly simple. She doesn't count calories or follow fad diets. Instead, she focuses on what she calls real food that makes me feel good. Her typical breakfast: oatmeal with walnuts and berries. Lunch might be a big salad with grilled salmon, and dinner is often vegetable soup with a slice of whole grain bread. Nothing revolutionary, right? But there's wisdom in that simplicity. Dr. Rachel Chen, a geriatric nutritionist I spoke with, put it perfectly. As we age, our bodies need fewer calories but more nutrients. That means every bite should count. She recommends what she calls the rainbow plate, aiming for colorful fruits and vegetables at every meal to get a wide variety of vitamins and antioxidants. Margaret does this without even thinking about it. Her secret? She keeps pre-cut veggies front and center in her fridge, so they're the easiest thing to grab when she's hungry. Now let me tell you about Arthur, an 82-year-old from Arizona who transformed his health by making one small change to his eating habits. After his doctor warned him about pre-diabetes, he started having a small green salad before dinner every night. Just that one habit, eating veggies first, helped him lose 15 pounds over 6 months and get his blood sugar under control. As he told me, I didn't give up any foods I love. I just made sure to eat the good stuff first. Simple, but powerful. Before we move forward, I just want to express my gratitude for you watching. If you're finding this video useful, please subscribe. Your support helps us continue to produce helpful content for our community. Next up, hydration. This is where Margaret is almost religious. She carries a water bottle everywhere and sips throughout the day. When I forget to drink enough, she told me, I can feel it in my joints and my energy levels by afternoon. And she's absolutely right. Our sense of thirst diminishes as we age, making dehydration a real risk. The general guideline is about 8 glasses a day, but Margaret has a better method. She checks the color of her urine. If it's light like lemonade, she's good. If it's darker, she drinks more water. But here's something surprising about Margaret's routine. She's not perfect, and she doesn't try to be. Every Friday night, she has what she calls her cheat hour, where she enjoys a small bowl of ice cream and a glass of wine. Life's too short not to enjoy the things you love, she says with a wink. And you know what? The experts agree. Dr. Chen told me, being too restrictive can backfire. What matters is what you do most of the time. Now let's talk about something we often overlook: sleep. Margaret is in bed by 9:30 p.m. every night and up at 6 a.m. without an alarm. She calls sleep her secret weapon for recovery and mental clarity, and science backs her up. Quality sleep helps with everything from memory to immune function to pain management. If you're struggling with sleep, Margaret swears by 2 things: keeping her bedroom cool and dark, and doing 10 minutes of gentle stretching before bed. I want to share one more story that really stuck with me. Meet Lillian, an 85-year-old former nurse who suffered from terrible insomnia for years. Then she started what she calls her sunset routine, turning off screens an hour before bed, drinking chamomile tea, and writing down 3 good things that happened that day. Within weeks, she was sleeping through the night. Turns out, she told me, my body knew how to sleep. I just needed to give it the right conditions. These daily habits, nourishing food, proper hydration, quality sleep, they're not glamorous. But together, they create a foundation that allows Margaret to do the extraordinary. And the beautiful part, none of these changes require a complete lifestyle overhaul. As Margaret says, start where you are. Just start. In our final part, we'll explore perhaps the most surprising aspects of Margaret's longevity, her social connections and sense of purpose. Because as you'll see, health isn't just about the body. It's about the heart and soul too. You know, after spending time with Margaret and learning about her daily habits, I began to notice something fascinating. While her physical routines are impressive, they're only part of the story. What truly sets her apart is something deeper, something we often overlook when we talk about health and longevity. Let me share what I mean. Every Tuesday and Thursday morning, without fail, Margaret meets a group of fellow runners at the local track. Some are half her age, others are in their 70s and 80s. They laugh, they stretch, they complain about the weather, and then they run together. When I asked her about this ritual, her eyes lit up. "This isn't just exercise," she told me. "This is my tribe. These people keep me young." And she's absolutely right. Research shows that strong social connections can be just as important for longevity as diet and exercise. In fact, one famous Harvard study found that good relationships are the strongest predictor of happiness and health in our later years. Margaret embodies this perfectly. Whether it's her running group, her weekly book club, or the way she chats with neighbors on her evening walks, she's constantly nurturing connections. This reminds me of Jack, an 88-year-old widower from Chicago. After losing his wife, Jack withdrew from nearly all his social activities. His daughter worried as she watched him become more isolated. Then one day, his old bowling league reached out inviting him to join them, just as spectators at first. Slowly, Jack started showing up again. Now, 3 years later, he's not only back to bowling with a special ramp for his arthritic hands, but he's also organized a monthly breakfast club for other seniors in his building. "I didn't realize how much I needed people until I let them back in," he told me. But Margaret's secret sauce doesn't stop at social connections. There's one more crucial ingredient: purpose. When I asked what gets her out of bed each morning, she didn't mention her running routine first. Instead, she talked about volunteering at the local elementary school, where she helps struggling readers twice a week. "Those kids keep me on my toes," she laughed. "And when I see that light bulb moment when a word finally clicks, well, that's better than any finish line." Dr. Elena Martinez, a gerontologist I consulted, explained why this matters so much. Having a sense of purpose literally changes our biology. It reduces stress hormones, strengthens our immune system, and may even protect against cognitive decline. The happiest seniors aren't those who focus solely on their own health. They're the ones who stay engaged with their communities. This brings me to perhaps the most surprising part of Margaret's story. At 90, she's not slowing down, she's setting new goals. Next month, she's starting piano lessons, always wanted to learn. And she's planning a hiking trip with her great-grandchildren. When I asked her about retirement, she looked genuinely confused. Retire from what? Living? So what's the takeaway from all this? It's not that we all need to run marathons in our 90s. Margaret's real lesson is much more profound. Aging well isn't about avoiding life's challenges. It's about continuing to engage fully with life, no matter what comes. It's about moving your body, nourishing your spirit, connecting with others, and finding reasons to wake up excited each day. As Margaret told me during our last conversation, "People ask how I stay so active at my age. But the truth is, I stay active because I want to fully experience this incredible life for as long as I can. The running, that's just the bonus." If Margaret's story inspired you, I'd love to hear in the comments, what's one small change you'll make to embrace life more fully today? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that prove age is just a number. Until next time, remember, your best years might still be ahead of you. You just have to keep showing up for them.